Hi, welcome to KiwaniTalk. We're a public information program put together by people from the Dearborn Kiwanis Club with help from students at the Dearborn High School facilities and our club members. My name is Gary Gardner. Welcome to this program, which is the longest running cable access program in the entire world. We've been doing it since 1991. I thought that was pretty good until we talked to our guest before the show about his organization. He's been doing what they've been doing for over 100 years. And to talk about this organization and what a great job they do, we have Silvio Davis, who is the current president of the Dearborn Goodfellows. Silvio, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. So, how many years has Goodfellows been around?
101 this year. So we celebrated our 100-year anniversary in 23.
And where did Goodfellows start? It's newspapers, but how did the idea for the Goodfellows come about, and what do they do?
Yeah, so they started, a group of businessmen started it. They wanted to give back to the community, give back to needy families and children within their community, and they organized this group. It was called the Old Newspaper Boys, and they sold papers. They printed out papers, sold papers, and all the funds went directly to buying gifts and presents for children locally that were in need.
So they started this out, and they started selling newspapers, and it started. Where did it start? What city did it start in?
Ooh, you stumped me there.
I think it was Detroit.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was Detroit. As a question I knew the answer to. Is
yeah.
When I'm in trial, I always never ask questions I don't know the answers to. So.
Yeah, there we go. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have this organization that's been selling the newspapers. When they get the money and they started this, how do they decide how do you today decide who is a needy child and who's going to get what?
Yep, so we partner with the Dearborn public school system, and we work with the social workers and principals who are within that schooling system who find these families, who they know. They're on the ground, they deal with the families every day, and they're able to provide a list for us of individuals and students who are in need. We also work with the Dearborn Police Department, the Dearborn Fire Department, and our city government departments who come across these families. If they go on emergency runs or they come across a family that says, hey, I need a hand up, and we're able to get them on a list, help them out, and give them a box.
So let's fast forward to some of the processes involved. So right now, the drive is the first weekend in December of 2024. So by the time you get to watch this, the drive is going to be, because we're doing it, they're doing it today. And in fact, Silvio has got he was wearing his jacket because he came in from the streets today. Man comes in from the streets and does a TV interview. I'm impressed by that. But the process doesn't start on December 4th or 5th. How long have you been getting ready for the 2024 paper drive, Silvio?
Yeah, absolutely. So we start working on the actual physical paper and what goes into the paper usually early November. Okay. And then we send out this email to the schools to make sure that they get it out to their right people. And we can get this, we have a worksheet that we work off that everybody has access to within the school system where they can enter the names into it on one document. And then we're able to compile a list of addresses. We partner with the city who actually maps out a route for us, so we're not jumping from one side of the city to the other side of the city. We can say that on this truck you have this area that you can cover, and the city maps that out for us all together.
Okay, let's go back though about the organization, this whole thing. You've got more than 5 guys out on the street. You need to get permits, you need to get the papers printed, so the physical paper, probably one of the easiest things, because we're teamed up with the Dearborn Times-Herald, and Mike Buick over there who does a great job, and he helps you print it up. But the planning for the assault on the streets in December doesn't start in November, doesn't start in October, it doesn't start in September. When does it start?
Yeah, we really are a year-round operation. You know, we plan for this. I mean, we start right after we start selling papers this year. So once we get our packages all delivered, we work out the kinks. We start working with the schools in the city and say, hey, we're going to do better and get more for next year, and we're just always progressing and working year round on it. We have a board of directors who have, we have small subcommittees that work on, making this all a success for us every year.
And how long have you been involved with the Dearborn Goodfellows?
This is my 13th year. I was a volunteer and kind of just worked up the ranks. The more you volunteer, the more they ask you to do, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, you're the president. So
careful what you ask for.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a blessing. My father was a recipient of the Detroit Goodfellows, so it's been in my blood. It's a worthy cause. It's something I enjoy and give back to. So it's a need that we are able to fulfill.
So in order to sell the newspapers on the street, you'd have to have been a newspaper carrier when you were a kid, right? Or wrong?
Yeah, wrong. No, I definitely wasn't. Wasn't really giving back much when I was younger. I watched my dad and my parents, do that, and it was something that I was more focused on sports. But once I graduated, and I always say, once you volunteer with an organization and give back, you're hooked. Once you see that first smile and that first happiness and joy that a package can bring to somebody and a kid, you're going to be hooked and be back every year.
So for next year, those of you who are out there watching, you don't have to be a newspaper carrier to be able to do this. Don't have to be the member of any kind of particular club. In fact, if you wanted to call or go on the website or make a wait a minute, we're past the sales. Can they still make donations?
Absolutely, yeah. We definitely are open year-round because we do service emergency cases that come to us year-round. So there could be a family that's, hard on times for rent, mortgage, utility bills, cars break down. So we're able to service year-round.
And if someone wants to donate, like today when they see this, whenever this is there a website?
Yes, that's DearbornGoodfellows.org.
DearbornGoodfellows.org. And by the miracle of television, guess what? We can't see it, but it's right in front of us.
Oh, perfect! Yes.
Isn't that amazing how that works? So, so a lot of the money comes in from that. But what percentage of your money comes in from what you would be like the street sales or other types of things? How much?
Yeah, this is our biggest fundraiser, selling on the street. So these 2 days are our biggest generator of funds that we focus on and service those Christmas gifts. We service roughly around 1,000 kids, 550 families right here in Dearborn. So we have a dollar amount that we shoot for. We spend about $50 to $60 per kid. So this is our biggest fundraiser, and it brings in, I would say, roughly to 80–90% of what we need to do to make sure that those gifts are purchased in time for.
And those come in and by the volunteers on the streets, and it's just as members of service clubs, the Kiwanis Club. What other organization besides our club and what other clubs are there that are involved?
We're blessed in a community that all of our service clubs work together. So we partner with the Exchange Club; they're out there selling. The Kiwanis Club is out there selling. The Dearborn Burn Drive is out there selling for us. Police Charities is out there selling for us. The Rotary Club, we have 3 in Dearborn, and they all sell for us. Enemy Club is another one that helps us out. So we all are working together to sell. Also, the Forts and Varsity Club is another one that helps us.
So all these clubs are out there. How many volunteers do you, if you have an idea, are actually physically out there on the streets selling the papers for you?
I'd have to say somewhere between 100 to 150 volunteers that we have out. And we also, I didn't include, but we do have students from the National Honor Society or Student Council that partner with us too and go out and sell. Okay,
so when I've sold, I go out in the street and I dodge cars and things like that. I'm getting a bit, a little slower enough to do that.
Yeah.
You let the kids go on the streets, or they do someplace else?
No, we find a safe location for them, usually in front of a storefront or inside of a store. And we have several businesses. Again, we've been a blessed community to have those business owners open up their doors and allow our students to sell in front of their storefronts.
Is there a central location where you assemble the papers and distribute them, or how do they do that? Where would you expect to go to pick up your papers in your newspaper sack and move out?
Yep. So all the materials we have is we work out of Sake and Terry Church on Rotunda. They house for today, so Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We'll have money there to drop off. and you can pick up all your materials that you need to sell papers on the streets.
St. Kateri's Church, that's on Rotunda Drive, just east of Greenfield, or west of Greenfield.
West of Greenfield,
West
yep.
of Greenfield. So the money comes in, and you get it quarters and dimes and dollars and $5. What's the biggest sort of individual thing you found in the bottom of the collection box?
Yeah, no, we get it all. It's nice. You'd be surprised on that change that adds up quickly. So we have volunteers who may not want to sell on the street. So if you're looking to volunteer, you can count money for us. So we have people in there rolling coins. We have money counters and things like that. Things that I've found in the bottom, I mean, it comes from anything. I've had lottery tickets go in there that were actually winners, which was nice. It's nice when you see that check or that big bill. You get that. You look at it and it looks like a single that's dropped in there, and you don't notice it until you dump it on. And you go, oh, somebody rolled a $100 bill in there or something, or put a check in there. My single most donation was a $500 check I received from a lady that drove. She tried to stop in the street, and she drove around, took a circle, and said, "Hey, I just wanted to give this to you." And I didn't know at the time what it was, and when I emptied my jug, the person who was counting my money for me was like, "Hey, you had a $500 check in there," and I was like, "Wow, it's amazing what people will give back to you," and hear the stories of when you're on the street, people say, "Thank you, because I was a recipient of the Goodfellows as a child, or my family member or whatnot was a recipient." So it's nice to be out there and hear those stories and see those faces.
So there's the different service clubs that are involved. Is there a friendly competition between the clubs, and do you guys rank the service clubs in their performance?
I'm not sure if it's the service clubs as opposed to the corners.
Okay.
We kind of do have a little in-house competition between some areas that are on the street. So we definitely, there's a little small competition, but it all goes in the same pot. And it's all for the greater good.
All for the greater good. And so, but if someone wants to donate and they're watching this program, Dearborn, Goodfellows.org.
Correct. Yep.
And there's a click to pay on there, I'm assuming?
Yep, click to donate. You can also mail a check to Park Place Catering on Park Street. That's where we operate out of as well, and house our in-house paperwork and things like that.
So when you have people on the streets, how do you pick the corners? I mean, you said there's good corners, and how do you get the competition to, who gets to pick the good corners?
Yeah, I think some of the good corners are already spoken for. With being around 100 years, we have volunteers who've been around a long time, so there's kind of already spoken for corners every year. But we always find areas, if people come for the first time and say, "Hey, where can I sell at?" We usually have a map or a list of where they could go where people are not at.
Okay.
So most of the hot corners are taken, but there's always somewhere to go to collect money, and anything that brings in, I always say that if you bring in $100 and you've been out there for a couple hours, that's $100 more than we would have had if you weren't out there. So.
Well, speaking of which, we have a small donation from one of our club members here.
Oh, wonderful!
And so that'll throw that in the pot and add it into where you. I'm going to trust you to put that in the box for tomorrow, there, Chris.
It's going in my bucket for tomorrow, so I can get those sales up.
There you go. Okay, so we're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back and talk about not just the collection process, but the distribution and how that makes people feel when they get it, and how that makes the people who are delivering it, makes them feel. Don't go away. I'm Gary Gardner, talking here with Silvio Davis, president of Dearborn Goodfellows. Be right back.
It's easy to get caught up in the details. The day-to-day grind, numb to the noise, going round and round and round. Deep down, there's something missing, a void inside, a hole to fill, a life lacking. Then, in a minute of clarity, it hits you. The aha moment. You're needed. Kids need you. Kids of all kinds. All these funny, rambunctious, sweet, attention-seeking, vulnerable bundles of energy. They need your love and support. Some have huge life hurdles. Poverty, disease, hunger. And they're reaching out for you. Around the corner, around the world. You are a Kiwanian at heart, a role model, a guide, a builder of dreams. Together, we are Kiwanis, passionate and strong, ready to move mountains or grains of sand. Imagine every child reaching their potential. The power to help is in you. It's not about us. It's about them. Do you hear the call? Kids need Kiwanis. Kiwanis needs you.
Welcome back to KiwaniTalk. I'm your host, Gary Gardner, where we're continuing our conversation with El Presidente of the Dearborn Goodfellows, Silvio Davis. Silvio, welcome back to the show. So we've talked about the financial side of it. Let's talk about the fun part of it, but there's still a lot of work involved. You've got hundreds of recipients of these presents. What age range do you provide the gifts for the children who are in need?
Yeah, so we go from age 2 all the way up to 12.
And does anybody ask for a specific thing? They make their list, or is there a generic gift that goes to a 2-year-old and a different one that hopefully goes to a 12-year-old?
Yes, no, absolutely, yeah. So we have it all broken up by age and gender.
Okay.
So every 2-year-old boy would get the same exact gift across the board.
And you said $50 or $60 worth of gifts. There can be substantial. What kind of stuff would a 2-year-old get?
Yeah, they get a couple toys. There's clothes in there as well. You know, we warm items like a hat, gloves, socks, things like that. So it's usually 2 to 3 toys, and then some warm clothing items.
Okay, so it sounds, if you said like 500 to 1,000 kids that get these gifts.
So yes, 1,000 kids, 550-ish households.
So logistically, you have to first of all decide what you're going to get. Then you have to assemble. How do you get all that merchandise, and where in the world do you store it as you're getting ready for it to package it?
Yep. So we have a family that is out in Madison Heights who actually owns a storage facility, and they buy year-round. So they plan for roughly these 1,000 kids and buy these items year-round in bulk so they can store it for us. And then they assemble every box for us. So we actually don't assemble any boxes on site. They assemble all, let's say, 1,000 kids that we have, age, gender, package it up for us, and then we pick it up and deliver it to where we would actually load the trucks up for the route for delivery for the next day.
Okay, so physically, 1,000 boxes, how many semi-trucks or tractors or buses does it take to get that stuff from Madison Heights down to here?
Yep, so we have a large box truck that we use that the city's able to give us and allow us to use. We go out there, load it all up. They have their high-lows and everything loaded up for us. Then we bring it back here, and we have students that help unload it for us at our location where we actually package those up and load the trucks.
Where's that location?
The packages are all delivered, and we load the trucks at Village Ford Body Shop on King Street.
So Village Ford is a big contributor, a big part of this. So you've got a list. You've checked it twice. You know who, it doesn't matter if they're naughty or nice, but they're kids, and that's what they need to get, some kind of a gift.
Absolutely.
You load them up into what kind of trucks do you do? Do you do the sub-delivery and the last mile?
Small, either cargo vans. There are some box trucks that we do use for the larger routes, but mostly it's cargo vans or smaller step-up vans that we use.
So you've got some AI generated map route or whatever, so you know where you're going to go. And do the recipients know these things are coming?
Some do. You know, some are aware of it. Their parents reach out to the school knowing that they're able to seek help. And some people are surprised. They don't know that their neighbor, relative, somebody from the fire department, police department, our organization found out about them and put them on the list without them knowing. So it's a combination of both.
And when you go to the house, if someone's there and they open the door, you give it to them. But if no one's home, what do you do?
We leave something for them, a notice on their door saying that they need to call this number or go to the Dearborn Police Department that houses the gifts that we don't deliver. But we try to re-deliver the week after and try to get all these packages back out to, there's a handful of us volunteers that re-deliver them. But they get a postcard saying that we try to make a delivery and here's where you can pick up your package.
You've been involved with this for a while, and your father. You mentioned earlier that your father was a recipient. Talk about his memory and how he felt about giving this package and how important it was to him.
Yeah, so my father grew up extremely poor. There was 13 brothers and sisters that he had. So when they came up here from Mississippi, they got on the Goodfellows list. And back then it was more, you got clothing items, either a doll or some sort of fruit. So there was a little bit different on what they received, but they knew they got that package every year, and having that joy and knowing that somebody came to my house and gave me a Christmas gift was, it was something that impacted him. He told me later in life, I was well into my 20s, that he explained this to me and told me once I started getting involved, what the Goodfellows meant to him.
The packages that come in boxes, are the gifts wrapped or are they just loose in the box? Or how does that look?
It's in a cardboard box that we have, and it's labeled with their name and age on there.
Have you been to a place or a house where you deliver the box and someone you watch them get to open it?
I haven't personally seen them open it. I've seen the children receive it.
Yep.
And seeing the joy on their face or the happiness or the surprise. Sometimes, again, the kids may not know, parents may know. They don't really know exactly the day that we're delivering it. So when we knock on their door, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's really like it's Christmas Day for them. And
so the army of volunteers collects the money. There's another army that delivers. How many people actually go out on the routes and deliver those? How many vehicles are involved?
So I would say roughly 8 to 10 vehicles that we have filled up with these 1,000 packages, 500, 550 stops that we have to make. And I would probably say 30 volunteers, I would say. 2 people driving the truck. We have people who drive the truck, people who are right next to them navigating, telling them where to go. And then we have vehicles following us that we call chase cars that when we pull up, they can come up to the back of the truck, get the packages, and go up and physically run up the package to them.
So you got jumpers.
Yep, exactly.
Okay,
yeah, you know that term. Yeah, we have jumpers, yep.
And the delivery times, when do these gifts go out? When do they get delivered to the families?
Yep, so we package and load up the trucks on December 20th at Village Ford, and then we come back that next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're done by noon. So we deliver all these packages by noon. It's a quick process. We have enough volunteers. We have it coordinated that the city gives us. Every truck has a route in a specific area, so they're going in pretty much a circle of every route.
Kind of disappointed you don't actually do it on Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
But the operative word is you got volunteers.
Yes, yep, exactly. So I would assume at some point somebody made that decision that it's not Christmas morning, it's the week before. So it'll be roughly 4 days before we'll have it's close to Christmas, but not on the day.
The last few years have had some economic stress. How has that impacted the income that's been generated by Goodfellows? And talk about how generous people of Dearborn are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have extremely generous businesses. We have extremely generous residents who live in this community, and people who pass through and may not be a part of this community but come through, either work here or come here to eat or visit. We haven't seen really any impact on money and financial income that we've brought in besides 2020. So 2020, we weren't able to physically be on the street. We had to do something digital. So we had an online digital sale, and we didn't bring in as much money as we would like, obviously, because we weren't on the street corners, but we did, we were able to fulfill our need, and we had enough money from previous years to help offset that. But we bounced right back. I mean, 21 and 22, we saw some record numbers, and I think last year was our highest we've made.
So how much do you get paid for being in charge of all this, Eric?
000 times 2. Yeah. So it's all volunteer. We don't pay anybody to do anything for us. Everybody's a volunteer. The only expenses that we actually have is filing our taxes at the end of the year.
And then you have the cost for the gifts. So essentially it's, except for the small administrative fee for the taxes and those things, it's all going back to the kids.
100% of it, yep. It's roughly, they say, I think our treasurer put out a number like 98.9% of our income and money that we bring in goes directly back into the community one way or the other.
So you've been involved, you mentioned, for 13 years before, and now how long are you planning on staying? Now that you've done your job as president, you get to be president emeritus and you sit back, kick back and relax, or are you going to keep on working on this?
Oh yeah, no, until they, you know, I plan on being around, you know, as long as I'm in Dearborn. There's no question. I have twin boys who are going to be 2 years old next month, and I can't wait to have them come out and volunteer with me and bring them to see what our organization does.
So again, the name of the organization is the Dearborn Goodfellows. The website, remarkably, is dearborngoodfellows.org.
Correct, yep.
And if you want to make a donation, you can do it today. You can do it anytime. But if you, and I've been on the street selling papers in the past, and it's nothing as gratifying as someone comes up and they say, "Merry Christmas."
Yep.
They can say it back to them too. So
yeah, and it's nice seeing the kids in the back seat smiling, you know, because some of us dress up. We got Santa hats out there, you know. We're giving out candy canes, we're giving out stuffed animals, and it's really a good time.
So I grew my beard out just for the interview, like Santa Claus.
Perfect. Yeah, you're in the season.
Anyway, Silvio Davis, thank you very much for the work that you do for the children of Dearborn. Thank you very much for being part of this and continued success, and have a great and safe year for all your volunteers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Silvio. Thank you for tuning to KiwaniTalk. When you see someone on the street with Goodfellows papers, be very careful. Try not to hit them, and be very reaching deep into your wallet and donate, or dearborngoodfellows.org. I'm Gary Gardner. See you next time. Bye-bye.